Is everybody here? Just the organizers. Late. Is everybody more or less here? Shall we start?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. Good evening, everybody. Thank you for coming. This is great. I see that you're like school kids. Nobody sat here.
That's for the dream.
You can give glasses. I was going to say that. Thank you for coming to the presentation of the English and Spanish bilingual edition of Popping Corn, which is the second book. My name is Rafael Cruz, and I am the one person that produces these bilingual books. It's a publishing house specialized in translating books from Spanish, Catalan into English, any language really, but at the moment Spanish and Catalan seem to be the things I've translated. Good French, see how it goes. The idea is to be a bridge in these Brexit times between Europe and England, basically. I've lived here for 30 years. My friend Eva, who is recording this, is an artist. She's from Barcelona. I'm from Barcelona as well. She's lived here for 50 years. We think that we need to bring together Britain and Europe, and this is the aim of Coaster Books. So that's why we're here in Rochester, because we are presenting not only that book, but also Bill Lewis, that you probably know because he's a local boy, who's got this other book. So when I was offered the possibility of presenting Popping Corn here, which was a good opportunity for me as a small publisher, I contacted the Medway poets, obviously, because it seemed like there was a connection between Manolo Marcos, who is here with us, who is actually, the name is Mendigo Diego, is a nom de plume, it's a pseudonym that he uses. He writes in a surrealist style. His poems, they're translated into English, bilingual English-Spanish, and obviously this is in English only.
So far.
We have the project. Well, it's just very organic, no? Because I've translated some of his poems for this event, and therefore we have been discussing. Oh, maybe we should do an anthology of your work. So it's in the cards, no? We've got Kevin Harrison, who is also a local boy, although you won't know him because he's behind the scenes normally. He works at ITV Maidstone, and he's a friend of mine who kindly offered to read the English version of these poems because he's got a very good voice, I think. He's a journalist and loves poetry as well. So I'm very, very thankful for all of you to be here, particularly you three, really. He's come from Córdoba in Spain, and Bill enthusiastically, and Ellie and everybody, Patrick, everybody here in this wonderful space. So the order of the events is going to be, first Bill is going to read an introduction or say an introduction about Popping Corn, and then we are going to read the poem, a selection of the poems of Popping Corn, and Manolo obviously is going to read the original, and Kevin is going to read the English version. Once we finish that, which will be about 20 minutes, we'll see, then Bill is going to read 3 poems he's going to read the original, and Manolo is going to read the Spanish version. So you can, the idea is to have this 2-language bilingual thing, like get everybody familiar with languages. Okay, and then I'll have a conversation with the 3 of them, basically mostly on surrealism, the stackist and the relation to surrealism, being working class as well, because both of them, myself as well, even I look very, I just dressed for the occasion, we're all very working class people, and we're going to be discussing a bit, what about being working class and poet and culture, how, is it a language specific, some message specific, or are we all the same? We're going to talk about that, and surrealism as well, and how surrealism as a movement works within this working class thing. and then you can say whatever you want and then ask questions to everybody, okay? And then we'll have more color. Okay, so without further ado, would you like to start?
Yes, I didn't know. I don't know what to call you. Manolo. Can I call you Manolo? Manolo's
Yes,
work.
it's my
But
familiar name.
yeah, I didn't know Manolo's work until this book. This book kind of sums up what I feel about poetry in the sense that meaning is the least important thing in a poem. You know, you could write a thing with meaning in it and it not be a poem, or you could write a poem that is a poem and you can either choose to put a disguised meaning in it or an actual meaning. And I think Manolo does that. He's using the techniques of surrealism. And I think surrealism is less a movement now and more of a way to free up people to use interesting imagery and do something different with their work. I think of myself as a magical realist, and I think that magical realism probably has connections with surrealism, but we will get on to that later. I will like to say before I hand back to our Master of Ceremonies that there's one poem in this book that I wish I'd written. Now that, for me, is something. I'm a very hard judge of poetry, and every so often I pick up a book and I say, why didn't I write that? And so I'm looking forward to hearing Manolo read. Thank you.
Okay, I'm translating to Spanish for Manolo because he says that he didn't know you. No te conocía antes de este libro, pero que cree que toda tu poesía en este libro es lo que él cree que es la poesía, que incluso se puede escribir algo con significado y no es poesía, o poesía con algo que no tiene significado. Y cree que tu libro es poesía, porque entra dentro de lo de no importa el significado, sí, es poesía. Y también ha dicho que hay un poema de los que vamos a leer hoy que cree que es un poema que le hubiera gustado haber escrito a él y que cree que eso, dice que no lo dice fácilmente esto y que es un elogio.
Sí.
Okay. Yes, we're going to proceed now then to reading the poem. So we're going to read I'm going to introduce the poem. Can I ask you to stand up because the voice travels backwards when you read. So obviously the order, I think, the obvious order is like you read. I introduce the poem briefly. You read the Spanish. You read the English, and then I introduce the next poem. Okay. And then when we finish the poems on this, then you read your...
I'll do the song and then the 3 poems.
Your song? Yeah, of course, yeah. Fabulous. Your song and then the 3 poems, which Manolo will read the Spanish version.
We haven't rehearsed, by the way. We just met.
So, the first poem, we're going to start the reading of poems with this poem 6, which connects the work of the poet with the song of the bird, which has always attracted poets so much. And I know that Bill has written a lot of poems about birds himself, so it's a nice way to start. It's the poem 6 of the book.
Por cantar en la yema de la madrugada, alondra, picas en los secos mendrugos de mi alma atolondrada. Tú eres la que amasas este pan de misterio.
Singing at the yoke of dawn, you lie. You peck on my soul's dry crusts, flighty as they are. You are the one who needs this bread of mystery.
And now this poem 11 that seems to me to refer to the relationship between form and concept, form and idea, that is at the base of all poems. Poem 11.
La miel en el ojo del zorro, arisca soledad erizada, dulzor de tus labios templados, amor, que mora en la rama más alta de este árbol de huesos. Abrevar en sangre un esqueleto sin alma es la gramática.
Honey in the eye of the fox, rough, bristling loneliness, sweetness of your warm lips, love that dwells on the highest branch of this tree of bones. To drink in a bucket of blood, a skeleton without a soul, that's what grammar is.
We're going to read now poem 25 of Popping Corn, which seems to refer, and I always say seems because I don't want to be prescriptive, that's what it seems to me as a reader. Seems to me to refer to that other great mystery associated with poetry apart from verse, which is love. Poem 25.
A mi charco reluciente de nubes vienes con aire casto, sonríes de tallos subterráneos, te beso con distintas sinalefas, qué tan dúctiles vértebras en tu lumbar pureza me desatan.
To my glittering puddle of clouds, you come with your chaste grace. You smile from underground stems, I kiss you with different elisions. What ductile vertebrae in your spinal purity are unleashed?
And we're going to read poem 39 now, which introduces us another theme, typical of poetry if you like, but particularly of Popping Corn, because Manolo is a great musician. He plays the sax very well. And this relationship with music and poetry is important to poetry in general and to Manolo's poetry in particular. So this is poem 39.
Toca el violín, querido espantapájaros, con la premura por estrenar de unos zapatos. Táñelo con la suave cualidad de un mediodía independiente. No te cases con tu sombra, o rompe una trompeta.
Play the violin, my dear scarecrow, with the rush of a pair of shoes that must be broken in. Play it with the soft quality of a self-sufficient noon. Do not marry your own shadow, or else destroy a trumpet.
And the next poem is about language. Language is an expression of all the human mysteries. This is poem 41.
Tengo palabras danza, sé para qué las quiero. Se mueven o van determinadas a desmentir ideas de pies ligeros. Me acompaña una sonrisa de mediodía, un ritmo íntimo, un caudal secreto.
I have danced like words. I know what I want them for. They move or they are resolute to refute fleet-footed thoughts. A smile accompanies me at noon, an intimate beat, a secret flow.
The next one is the consecutive one in the book is 42, poem 42, and again it's this idea of words and music that is at the heart of Manolo's poetry and poetry in general. So, poem 42.
Permítanme unas gotas de mercurio. Saliva que vale su peso en llanto son fagotes, violonchelo y un triángulo, más esa alegría que solo detectan los termómetros.
Please allow me a few drops of mercury. Saliva worth its weight in tears. They are a triangle, a cello and a bassoon. Plus, that kind of joy that only thermometers can detect.
We move on to poem 44, which is a beautiful reflection on the work of the poet. What does the poet work? As I see, poem 44.
Puse nombre a las cosas. Por ejemplo, quise llamar hormiga a una lágrima, solo porque la vi caer de una mejilla hasta el suelo, y porque echó a correr por la máquina leve de este verso. Si esto es lo que llaman metáfora, solo digo lo que vi, no digo Diego.
And just before I read the English version, I'll say this is the one that Bill told me earlier he'd wished he'd written. I gave names to things. For example, I wished an ant to be called a tear, just because I saw her fall from one cheek onto the ground. and because it began to run through the faint machinery of these lines. If this is what is called metaphor, I just say what I saw. I keep to my word.
And the next one is poem 46, mixes two themes, the relationship between poem and love, a theme that has been at the center of the poetry since the troubadours and the Provençals minstrels. So this is poem 46, Love and Words.
Fuera, sobre el tejado, esas lenguas de viento que mueven las veletas obedecen al loco y al poeta. Viendo pasar mi vida delante de tu espejo, yo quisiera negarte, ponerte en un florero y no cambiarte el agua nunca más. Que se mueran de hambre mis recuerdos.
Out on the roof, these tongues of wind that move the weather vanes respond to the poet and the insane. As I watch my life pass by in your mirror, I would like to refuse your eyes, to put you in a vase and never change your water again. Let my memories starve to death.
The next one is poem 50, and I have chosen this one just for the sheer inventiveness and beauty of the language used. Just that. Poem 50.
De pie, tal que un lirio con la garganta bien amenazada, alzo los decibelios y en justo amor te digo: no hay túmulo de rey, ni húmero, ni origen de una patria, ni 50 que no hayan sido bruma, escombro, olvido. Intuyo la libertad a golpe de ballestas, pájaros sagitarios en lo celeste presos.
With my skin, such as a lily's with a well-threatened throat, I raise my decibels and say to you in fair love, there is no king's burial mound or humorous bone, nor birth of 1 or 50 motherlands that have not been mist, first, rubble, neglect. I sense freedom at the fly of crossbow bolts, Sagittarian birds in celestial jails.
Sagittarian birds in celestial jails. I love that. The next one is 52, and it's an equation, again, or this is on my interpretation, maybe Manolo would disagree, but as a reader, it's an equation between the voice and the wind, you know, the voice of the poet and the wind blowing.
Leva tu voz y canta, viento, geografía sucesiva del espíritu, insurrección de mariposas muertas, llanto bambú, alma de veletas, libre hermosura sin fronteras.
Raise your voice and sing, wind, the spirit's successive geography, insurrection of dead butterflies, bamboo's cry, soul of weather vanes, free and beauty without borders.
The next one is poem 55, and explains for me precisely why poetic language is the most appropriate, in fact according to me as a poet, publisher, whatever, the only way to express the strangeness of reality, the unreason of our human longings. 55.
A las palabras búfalo, pasen hilo de oro en la matina, liebres sigan. Quiero conversación con la mía muerte, ya que ella es tuerta y simpática, para manifestarle con total indolencia el deseo de vino tinto y vivembre, y al enlutado toro sombras vencerlo con alba 10 colores, y cómo no, matar a un ingeniero de lo abstracto.
Let the buffalo words grazing golden yarn at sunrise be chased by hares. I'd like a chat with my own death, since she is one-eyed and so nice, to express her with perfect idleness. The desire for red and complex wine, and to subdue with a multicoloured dawn the funereal bull shadows, and, as a matter of course, to kill, an engineer of abstractions.
And now, poem 57, we're going to listen to a vaguely or not so vaguely erotic reflection, which resolves itself into musical allusions. I like this poem very much because it's perfect when you are in a bar or somewhere
Erotic?
in a party. Yeah, I knew you would disagree, but for me, I think the poets are not always the best writers. Listen to it. I think when I read this poem, I see myself in a bar and seeing someone attractive, and it's the prefiguration. It's not love, it's not sex, it's not desire. It's the prefiguration of it. That is how I see it. You judge. 57.
Como un fruto vencido te ofreces en madurez de nieve, efímera. Yo, émbolo suave, te distingo con esta floración de ramas rotas, de labios donde anidas fugitiva. Me tiembla el gorrión que llevo dentro, entierro la guitarra, es roja y hueca, tiene una voz sombría, de acuático naranjo.
You're all wondering what I'm going to read. Like a beaten fruit, you offer yourself in your maturity of ephemeral snow. I, gentle plunger, distinguish you with this blossom of broken branches, of lips where, fugitive, you make your nest. The sparrow inside me shudders. I bury my guitar, hollow and red. It is the dark voice of an aquatic orange tree.
If that is not erotic, may the angels come and judge. We're going to move on anyway to poem 61, and we'll return to the wind. The wind, the words, the sounds of the words that speak to us of the deeper reality, the one that enters through our eyes. 61.
Con los pulsos en colibrí se desmadeja el viento nocturno. Llama a la puerta de los orfanatos, pregunta por un niño sin nombre, para llevarlo al hondón del agua bautista, abismo hombre, y así abrir los ojos al mundo de una vez.
Vibrating like a hummingbird, the night wind breaks loose. It knocks on the door of orphanages, asking for a nameless child, to lead him to the depths of the baptismal water, and sink him into the abyss of men, thus opening his eyes to the world once and for all.
And now we go to dance and movement as truth, and music as the profound reality, the way that things really are. This is poem 63.
Porque es domingo, la cucaracha ya piensa en el lunes. La cucharita vuelve de paseo, donde bañó su plata en la gran sopa. Y se me cae algo de los ojos, que es colectivo y duele, porque es domingo y suena un minué.
Because it's Sunday, the cockroach is already thinking of Monday. The teaspoon returns from a walk where its silver coat was dipped in the great soup. And something has fallen off my eyes that belongs to us all, and it hurts because it's a Sunday and they're playing a minuet.
And now we go to another poem of love and the prefiguration of desire before it takes shape in our conscience. That is my interpretation of it. And again, you judge. Poem 70, please.
Oigo calcáneos pasos, me avisan de algo lombriz que provino en sucesivas muescas de insomnio. Profundo planto agrícola, tu lluvia de suavísimos pumas. Con serena paciencia me desvivo por comerte lo verde de los ojos.
I hear calcaneous steps warning me of something earthworm-like that came in successive notches of insomnia. Deep agricultural planting is your rain, gentle as pumas with extra soft fur. With cool patience I get out of my way to feast on the green of your eyes.
Calcaneous step warning me. Of what? I leave it there. We're moving on to poem 91. And this is again this is what these poems and all poems are about, which is a search for meaning and understanding. I think ultimately, and of course the poems will say no, it's all about shapes, about this, about that. I tell you, I studied poetry at university, about and it's a search for meaning. But he will disagree. 91, please.
Mi otoño, a veces en pleno comité de mis facultades clínicas, es el mejor momento para reventar una palomita. Aunque los que saben dicen que no se debe escribir sino después, y que esta realidad es solo un adjetivo pidiendo limosna a la puerta de un poema.
At times I autumn myself, At times I autumn myself in the full committee of my clinical faculties. It's the best time to burst a popcorn, although those who know say that it should not be written until later, and that this reality is only an adjective begging at the door of a poem.
An adjective begging at the door of a poem.
Yeah, I like that. That's great.
That's fine.
I might steal that.
Well, okay, this is the last poem. So we fit the last poem of Popping Corn, and then Bill is going to read his 3 poems, and Manolo is going to read them. So the last one is poem 94. If I hesitate, it's because they are written in Roman numbers, and although I am Latin, I still have to think it's 94. And we finish the reading from Popping Corn with another poem that tells us about music, which is what all these poems really aspire to.
Oboe, suenas a húmeda soledad, tallan las sombras del recuerdo, artilugio magenta de la rosa, digital liturgia en hebras, o esa turbia alegría de las cerezas.
Oboe, you sound like wet loneliness. You carve the shadows of memory. Magenta-hued contraction of the rose, you weave a digital liturgy, or that cloudy joy of cherries.
Okay, so these are the poems tonight we read from Popping Corn, and because we're going to have a discussion in a way putting them in the context of bills and medway poets and poetry in general. So we're going to read your poems now.
Yeah, For the last 30 odd years now, I've been starting all my poetry readings the same way with this Shaman song, and I'm superstitious, I hate to say it. So I'm going to do that before I read my 3 poems. Is this a dream I'm dreaming? Is this a dream I'm dreaming? Or am I only dreaming? I am in a dream. Is this a song I'm singing? Is this a song I'm singing? Or am I just a song that is being sung? I'm dancing with the word. The word is like a wife. The word is like a knife, a healing surgeon's knife. Is this a dream I'm dreaming? Is this a dream I'm dreaming? Or am I only dreaming? I am in a dream. Is this a stone I'm skimming? Is this a stone I'm skimming? Or am I just a stone skimming on the wave? My rattle was made by a lady whose name in English is Flowers Scattered Around, and it's from the Seneca tribe, who are part of the Iroquois Confederacy, and traditionally that would have been a buffalo or bison horn. It's a cow horn now, but it's made in exactly the same way as they always made them, and fitted perfectly on this wood. You can come and look at it afterwards if you like. Bit of technology in there. I like a bit of technology.
We all do,
Yeah.
especially the old one.
I went to my oldest friend Rob. I went to the funeral of his parents. They died within months of each other, and Rob read a eulogy out at the funeral, and he told me how they met. It's a Kentish poem. Apple Pickers, 1940, for Marge and Arthur Earl. As they work, above them, a Spitfire takes on a Messerschmitt. The daily dogfights of the autumn days of 1940. The Spit, like a great broken bird, comes down into the orchard. The wicker baskets fall from their hands, apples bruising on the wet grass as they rush to help. They pull the pilot free from the food fuselage. He's just 19. At first they think he's wounded, but it's just red hydraulic fluid. Marge is a land girl, Arthur a reservist waiting to be called up. And this is how they met. It was a fruit picker's morning. Pockets of mist in the valley, the river Medway, a white snake.
Recolectores de manzanas, 1940, para Marge y Arthur Earl. Mientras trabajan, por encima de ellos, un Spitfire se enfrenta a un Messerschmitt. Las peleas de perros diarias de los días de otoño de 1940. Como un gran pájaro roto, el Spit cae abatido en el huerto. Las cestas de mimbre se le escapan de las manos, manzanas magulladas sobre la hierba mojada mientras corren a ayudar. Sacan al piloto de fuselaje. Solo tiene 19 años. Al principio lo creen herido, pero es solo el rojo líquido hidráulico. Marge está en el ejército de tierra y Arthur es un reservista en espera de ser llamado a filas. Así se conocieron. Era una mañana de recolección de fruta. Bolsas de niebla en el valle. El río Medway, una serpiente blanca.
I like the Rio Medway. I like Mariposa more than butterfly. I like Calibre more than hummingbird. Abraxas. The curtain is torn, the cornerstone missing. The letters fly from the page and dance back to the crown from whence they came. The black dog barks, the black sun shines. Across the sea of brass, the blackbird wings its way. From its orange beak, he sings these words: I have come to break all the clocks with a hammer and shatter every mirror that exists in creation.
Abraxas. La cortina está rota, la piedra angular desaparecida. Las letras salen volando de la página y vuelven danzando a la corona de donde surgieron en primer lugar. El perro negro ladra, el sol negro brilla, sobre el sosegado mar de latón. El mirlo se abre camino con las alas, de su pico naranja surgen las palabras de esta canción. He venido a romper todos los relojes con un martillo y a romper cada espejo que existe en la creación.
And finally, this year we lost one of our best Medway talents. Chris Broderick, singer-songwriter, playwright, front man of the great band The Singing Loins. I wrote this poem in memory of him. I have to say that Chris used to, when he sang, he played it was a wooden box with an imprint of a hand on it, and he used it like a percussion instrument. The blue hand upon the yellow box of sound, in memory of Chris Broderick. From now on, others will sing your songs. Only we who knew you will hear your voice under theirs. Punk folk ballads that could be as savage as a claw hammer prizing open a crate, or as tender as a low November sun giving a gift of unexpected warmth, signs of a complex nature at work. We remember the blue hand upon the yellow box of sound, by the catalpa tree on the stage, with several hundred people singing along about girls who comb their hair with ravens' wings. Medway Delta dreams, and lyrics that taste of salt and seaweed, fairgrounds and Ferris wheels, and always running through them as it runs through our region, our towns, this river that names us. To quote that song you wrote for your father, so long me old China.
La mano azul sobre la caja amarilla de sonido, memoria de Chris Broderick. A partir de ahora, otros cantarán tus canciones. Solo nosotros que te conocimos oiremos tu voz bajo la de ellos. Baladas pan folk, tan salvajes tal vez como un martillo que hace palanca para abrir una caja, o tan tierno como el sol bajo de noviembre, regalando una calidez inesperada, signos que apuntan a una naturaleza compleja. Recordamos la mano azul sobre la caja de resonancia amarilla, aquel árbol catalpa en el escenario y varios cientos de personas cantando a coro sobre las chicas que se peinan el pelo con alas de cuervo, sueños del delta del río Medway, letras de canciones que saben a algas y a sal, atracciones de feria y ruedas de la fortuna, y siempre discurriendo por esos lugares, como discurre por nuestra tierra, por nuestras ciudades, ese río que nos da nombre. Por citar aquella canción que escribiste para tu padre, hasta luego, mi viejo camarada.
You see, some people have had 2 poems for everyone here because they're getting a totally different poem in Spanish and from the one in English, and I think that's one of the wonders of language.
I as a publisher of this new project, this is my aim is to bring cultures together, because I think that we can actually translate. You've got a nice poem which I was thinking of reading, but I didn't want to be too long for another occasion, which is about a Spanish lady says, a Spanish woman, a Spanish girl says hello or something.
Oh yeah, read it if you like, I don't mind. Yeah, I'd like to hear other people reading my poems, obviously.
I don't have it translated. I read in English if you like.
She was a Facebook friend of mine who is a tango singer from Argentina, and she lives in Paris.
Okay, let me read this English one. See, me read it in English. Maybe Kelly should read it. No, would you like? Oh.
Do you want me to?
Let go of it.
Sorry. Yeah. Okay, I'll tell you. Yeah.
I mean, my English is good, but
this is one of those conversations that come out of Facebook, really. I know a girl who laughs in Spanish. From Maria. I know a girl who laughs in Spanish. Ha 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 ha. Or ha 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 in English. Sounding her J's like we Brits sound an H. She lives in Paris. She has a dog called Lola, who barks in French. Wawa, wawa, wawa. Woof, woof, woof in English. Like Tintin's dog, Milou, Snowy. Not even gua, 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 like a Spanish perro. I know a girl who laughs in Spanish. We've never met face to face, only on Facebook. She uses Google Translation to talk to my heart. Sometimes, as Madame Hergé once said, when referring to Captain Haddock in French, I can be such a sad English fish. Sometimes my head spins around like Professor Tournesol, Professor Calculus in English. I know a girl who laughs in Spanish. She's Argentine and sings the tango. I've never met her, but I've seen her sing on YouTube. If she gets bored when we're talking, she types zzz in Spanish or in English. Or if she's quiet as we chat, I type zzz, as the Americans say, stacking the Z's or British Z's. When she reads this, I hope she herself.